It's an interesting thing.
Es algo interesante.
Because the moment people start to appreciate their lives
Porque en el momento que las personas empiezan a apreciar su vida,
is when they start to lose their
es
life.
justamente cuando empiezan a perder su vida.
And it's so important to live in appreciation all the
Es súper
time.
importante vivir en apreciación todo
You know,
el
this
tiempo.
is why sometimes people get sick
Por esto es que a veces las personas se enferman,
or they lose someone very dear.
pierden a alguien muy querido.
It's like a wake-up call,
Es un
no?
llamado así a despertarse,
You know, you're going to
a
continue doing the same
vas
thing,
a continuar haciendo lo mismo,
or you're going to do
o
something
vas a hacer
different.
algo diferente.
You know, I love that book of Paulo
A mí
Coelho.
me gusta ese libro de Paulo Coelho.
Veronica decides to die,
Verónica decide morir.
and the psychiatrist
Y el psiquiatra
tells her that she's dying,
le dice a ella que está muriendo.
and she starts living.
Y entonces ella empieza a vivir.
And before that,
realmente.
she was always in this
Y
massive
antes de
depression,
eso estaba en esta depresión enorme,
not enjoying her life.
sin disfrutar su vida.
And then when she found out she was going to
Y
die,
después cuando finalmente se enteró que iba a morir,
she decided to start living.
decidió empezar a vivir.
And it wasn't even true.
Y ni siquiera es la verdad.
So it's an interesting
Así
thing
que es algo muy interesante.
how we take for
El
granted
cómo damos por sentado
what we have.
aquello que tenemos.
But when we think we're going to lose it,
Pero cuando creemos que vamos a perderlo,
then we really start to appreciate it.
entonces realmente empezamos a apreciarlo.
And I think it's very important,
Me parece
no?
que es muy importante
To live life to the
el
maximum,
vivir la vida al máximo,
to enjoy each
el
moment,
disfrutar cada momento.
because it's a beautiful
Porque
creation.
es una creación hermosa.
And you have to be able to see it
Y
clearly
tienes que poder verla con claridad,
in its
en
magnificence.
la magnificencia de ella.
Because, you know, you just look here.
Porque mira aquí alrededor,
You know, life's beautiful.
la vida es hermosa.
Why are we living in suffering?
¿Por qué vivimos en sufrimiento?
Why can't we flow like nature?
¿Por qué no podemos fluir como la naturaleza misma?
Why are we always fighting against
¿Por qué
reality?
estamos siempre peleando contra la realidad?
Because we live in fear,
Porque vivimos en miedo,
not in love.
no en amor.
Hi, Isha.
Cuando nos hablas de
When you
la
talk
ilusión,
about illusion,
nos hablas como de la percepción
you
que
talk
tenemos
about the perception that we have each of us about it,
ilusoria en cada
that
uno.
is illusionary in each of us.
¿Puedes hablar de eso?
Can you talk about
When I
that?
talk about illusion,
Cuando hablo de la ilusión,
I talk about that which changes all. You better
hablo
sit
de
down.
aquello que siente,
That
que
changes
cambia
all the
con el
time.
tiempo.
But it's interesting you say that
Pero es interesante que menciones
because
eso,
it's true.
porque es verdad.
Everyone's illusion's different
La ilusión de cada persona es diferente.
because it's a perception,
Porque es una percepción.
because it's a mirror.
Porque es un espejo.
You know, if you look at one of my
Si
movies,
tú miras alguna de mis películas,
The Mirror of
por
Perfection,
ejemplo, el espejo de la perfección,
it's explaining that.
está explicando
How we
exactamente
don't see the world as it is.
cómo en realidad no vemos el mundo como es,
We see it as we are.
sino que lo vemos como somos nosotros.
So the illusion
Así que la ilusión
is a big mirror.
es un gran espejo.
And when we change our internal
Y cuando
perception,
cambiamos nuestra percepción interior,
what we perceive
aquello que percibimos
in everyone and
en
everything
cada uno y en cada cosa
changes.
cambia.
And we start to live in appreciation of
Y
detail.
comenzamos a vivir en una apreciación en los detalles.
You know, humans live in the
Los
surface.
humanos viven en la superficie.
This is such an intricate
Esta
creation.
es una creación tan intrincada.
You know, there's universes upon universes upon universes upon universes. And we live on such a superficial
Y
level
miramos en un nivel tan superficial
that we just take it for granted,
que damos por sentado.
or we're focused on our own
O
misery.
estamos enfocando en nuestra propia miseria.
And when we start to
Y
change,
cuando empezamos a cambiar,
it's like the veil falls from
es
our
como que
eyes.
cae el velo de nuestros
And we can really start to appreciate
ojos. Y
everything
empezamos realmente a apreciar todo.
when we're present in the
Cuando
moment.
estamos presentes en el momento.
So yes, our illusion
Nuestra ilusión
changes as we change.
cambia a medida que nosotros cambiamos.
As our suffering
A
leaves,
medida que nuestro sufrimiento se
everything
va,
becomes more brilliant,
todo se torna más brillante,
more beautiful,
más hermoso,
more extensive, more
más
open.
extenso, más abierto.
Mm?
Es sobre el equilibrio.
Can you talk about the equilibrium?
Just in this moment,
En este momento,
she's like, talk to me about equilibrium.
Oh, it just happened something. I was standing for a while there, and I thought, the boat moves, and I
me sentí
I was feeling that sometimes life is like that. Sometimes moves, but you have to be finding, holding yourself there in equilibrium.
Sure, I'll talk about
Claro,
it.
te voy a hablar de eso.
So what you're talking about is having an anchor in the storm. When we have a consciousness, I often use the description of a little boat. You know, when the ocean's calm, the little boat's fine, no? It's just there, sun shining, sea's blue, fish are jumping out of the water. And then life creates storms, no? We have lots of things that change. And if we don't have an anchor, we can't find equilibrium. So once we have consciousness, we have that internal anchor. And what happens when we have that anchor? We're anchored in that place of internal security. And we have the capacity to flow, to say yes, to stop trying to change reality and embrace it as it is. And this is the secret to equilibrium, to flowing, to living in joy, not fighting against that which is.
How? I want to know, Isha, how we can get together all those pieces of the life puzzle, and slowly, slowly start building that joy, so beautiful joy you talk about.
Well, first you don't have to get the puzzle together. It can just be everywhere. But your focus has to be in one place. And that's in the love. You know, it's natural that we're joyful. It's natural that we live in the moment. It's natural that we're simple. You know, humans try to be complex so they look intelligent. But there's a lot to be said for being stupid. You know, having the capacity to make a mistake, to enjoy our lives. Look at this bus. Yeah, so we need to focus in one point. So when we let go, it's not that we need to understand anything. We just have to let go of everything that doesn't allow us to be anchored in consciousness. And just to flow with that. It's easy to be joyful. But we like to be the opposite. We like the adrenaline of the fight. We love the complications. And once we can see that, we can start to change it. You know, innocence is the key. Present moment awareness is the key. Giving is the key. Truth is the key. The keys are very simple. They're the actions of love.
I have two questions, and I think they are related. When we achieve consciousness, the decision that you take, you don't make mistakes.
Okay, I'm going to answer that. Stop talking. Firstly, consciousness is now. Secondly, mistakes don't exist. It doesn't exist. Life's an experience. You have experiences you like and experiences you don't like. But all experiences allow you to grow and mature. And that's what life's about. So often people don't move forward because they're afraid of making a mistake. But life's about a million choices, a million different experiences. And that's what creates us. That's how we get to be mature.
¿Cómo llegamos a ser maduros?
This serves,
Esto
this
sirve,
doesn't
esto
serve.
sirve.
I enjoyed that.
Disfruto esto,
I didn't enjoy
no
that.
disfruté esto.
That made me
Eso
suffer.
me hizo sufrir.
Oh, I'm going to do it again. Oh, and again, and again, and again. Oh, maybe I'll go to the Isha Center.
Tal vez viéramos Centro Isha.
But was that a mistake?
¿Pero fue acaso un error?
No, it was just a human
Fue
experience.
su experiencia humana.
When you're anchored in
Cuando
consciousness,
estás anclado a la conciencia,
you're not robotic.
no eres robótica.
So yes,
Así que sí,
your choices are based in joy,
aquello que eliges va a estar basado en la dicha,
not in suffering.
no en el sufrimiento.
And that's the
Y esa
difference.
es la diferencia.
Mm?
El otro día,
In one of your movies,
No logro entender cómo,
I don't understand
cómo es el resultado
how is the
de la conexión que se
result
logra entre el corazón
of the connection that happens in between the mind and the heart.
The facets take you into the heart,
las facetas te llevan al corazón.
okay? And the heart has to be the master,
Y el corazón tiene que ser tu maestro, tu
or
guía,
the consciousness,
o
no?
la conciencia.
Because this is always in duality.
Porque la mente está siempre en dualidad.
So you have to have the capacity
Entonces tienes que tener la capacidad
to see what serves and what
de
doesn't.
ver aquello que te sirve y aquello que no.
So how do we get to that point?
Entonces, ¿cómo podemos llegar a ese punto?
Firstly,
Primero,
we have to remove everything that makes us a robotic
tenemos
being,
que remover todo aquello que nos torna en seres robóticos.
okay? That we're just responding and reacting
Estamos simplemente reaccionando y respondiendo.
because of our
Por
dramas,
nuestros dramas,
for our
por
pains,
nuestros dolores,
for things that have transpired in
por
our
aquellas cosas
lives,
que acontecieron en la vida,
the things that define our
por
personality.
aquellas cosas que definen nuestra personalidad.
And we have to start letting
Y tenemos que
go
empezar a dejar ir
of everything that takes us
todo
to
aquello
that
que nos
point.
lleva a ese punto.
And then
Y
we
después
sit in consciousness.
podemos instalarnos internamente en la conciencia
We stop becoming
y dejamos de
reactive to our
tornarnos en
minds
seres reactivos a la mente.
because we've healed the support
Porque
system.
hemos sanado ya el soporte, el sistema de apoyo de eso.
Okay? And then we start
Y después empezamos
to live here.
a vivir aquí en el corazón.
And that's freedom.
Y eso es libertad.
The mind's wonderful
La mente es hermosa
for the human
para la
experience.
experiencia humana.
We have to choose what serves.
Tenemos que elegir aquello que sirve.
ahorita que hablabas acerca de la
As you were talking about illusion
y obvio retomando lo de la conciencia
and
vino a la mente la palabra
getting back to
personalidad.
consciousness, came to my mind the word personality.
Y tengo la duda si eso
And I have doubt if
si
it's
nacemos o es algo que
if
también
we
we
we are born with that, or day after day we decide, or if exists a personality very deep inside us that says you are like this and is about a decision.
God. You know, I don't have the answer to that question.
No tengo la respuesta a esa
But what I do know,
Lo que sí sé
what we're born with
con lo que nacemos
is innate, no? Is
innato,
natural.
es natural.
And then
Y
we
después
start to adjust everything.
empezamos a ajustar todo.
We start to adjust
Empezamos a ajustar
and lose our
y a
authenticity.
perder esa autenticidad.
And we start to copy the
Y
outside.
empezamos a copiar el afuera.
We start to change
Empezamos a modificarnos
because we believe
porque creemos
that that will bring us more
que
love.
eso nos va a traer más amor.
And there's a billion ways we
Y hay un
change.
millón de maneras en las que nos modificamos y cambiamos.
Then we start to create fear.
Después empezamos a crear el miedo.
And with the fear,
Con el miedo,
we lose ourselves more and more and
perdemos a
more.
nosotros mismos más y más aún.
And we have an
Y
idea
tenemos una idea
of what's good and what's
de aquello
bad.
que es bueno y aquello que es
But the
malo.
greatest thing we have
Pero lo más grandioso que tenemos
is our natural
es
essence,
nuestra esencia natural,
our natural authenticity,
nuestra autenticidad,
our natural
innata,
gift
nuestro don
of how
natural
we are.
de cómo somos.
And that's the gift we give to the
Y
world.
ese es el regalo que podemos dar al mundo.
So we lose that,
Así que perdemos eso
and now we're coming back
y
to
ahora
that.
estamos retornando a eso.
And all the wonderful things of our
Todas las cosas
personalities,
hermosas de nuestra
our
personalidad,
energies,
nuestra energía,
because we're all so incredibly
porque
unique.
somos todos tan increíblemente únicos y
Once we start to
singulares.
cultivate that
Una vez que
again,
empezamos a cultivar eso de nuevo,
that's the greatest thing we can give to
es
humanity.
lo más grandioso que le podemos entregar a la
And that's called unconditional love
Y
of
eso se
self.
llama amor incondicional a uno mismo.
I am perfect exactly as I
Yo soy
am.
perfecta exactamente como soy.
I'm a perfect creation of love.
Soy una creación perfecta del amor.
And once that becomes your
Y una vez
experience,
que eso se transforma en tu experiencia,
you live in freedom.
vives en libertad.
How all the intricacies of the personality and what happens in the womb, and you're like your mother and father, and who knows? Kin sabe. That's beyond me. I haven't got a clue.
Eso va más allá de mi idea.
Hmm? Everything's too complicated.
Todo es demasiado complicado.
But I know it's all made from love,
Pero yo sé que todo está hecho del amor
and it's all
y
perfect.
todo es perfecto.
Oh, sorry. Okay. When, what is the fine line between
¿Dónde está la línea entre
controlling and like trying to force and like missionary style type trying to
como un misionero
spread like consciousness and
compartir conciencia,
flowing with the spread of consciousness? Like where?
expansión de la conciencia?
Okay, I can explain.
¿Qué puedo
You know,
decir?
the thing is, all we can do is elevate our own
La cosa
consciousness.
es que lo único que podemos hacer es elevar nuestra propia conciencia.
And because there's only one conscious
Porque
mind,
como hay una solamente conciencia,
every time a person
entonces, cada
elevates
vez que una
consciousness,
persona eleva su
it takes the
conciencia,
totality,
lleva la totalidad consigo.
always taking the
Siempre
totality.
llevando la totalidad.
But everyone's coming to this
Pero todos y
point
cada uno están llegando
because
a
it's who we are.
porque es quienes
We
somos.
can only not be that which we are for a limited period
No
of time.
podemos no ser aquello que somos por un periodo limitado de tiempo.
So consciousness is rising all the
Entonces, la conciencia
time.
está elevándose todo el tiempo.
And it has to come from
Y
within.
tiene que venir desde dentro.
You know, I'm going to incorporate education
Yo
systems.
voy a incorporar sistemas educativos.
They'll help.
Eso va a ayudar.
The children
Los niños
will teach the adults.
van a enseñar a los adultos
And they'll sustain that.
y lo van a sostener.
But it's a big
Pero es
process.
un proceso grande.
And it's not so critical
Y no es tan crítico
because it's happening anyway.
porque está sucediendo de todo.
So we give where we can
Así
give.
que damos lo que podemos dar.
But no, it's not going to be missionary
Pero no va
style.
a ser como una cosa de misioneros.
You must convert to
Tienes que
consciousness.
convertirte a la conciencia.
You must believe in the consciousness.
I want to ask what happens with consciousness that suddenly expands, and then suddenly something happens and gets contracted. But I have the impression that when you go deeper, suddenly comes a contraction.
I'll answer. So consciousness works like that.
La conciencia funciona así.
It expands,
Se expande,
contracts,
se contrae, se
stabilizes.
estabiliza
It goes to the next level.
y pasa al siguiente nivel.
Expands,
Se expande,
contracts, stabilizes.
estabiliza.
Expands, contracts, stabilizes. That's how it works.
Es así como funciona.
So it goes up,
Así que sucede,
down, and then
se
centers.
estabiliza en medio.
But once you get to a certain point,
Una vez que llegas a determinado punto,
it just keeps going.
sigue adelante.
Hmm?
Pero entonces si hay un punto en el que ya no hay contracciones y solo crecimiento.
Yeah. Yes. In the beginning, it's a little bit like this, no? Well, it's a lot like that. And then you stabilize perpetual consciousness. Then it does it again. And then you go further.
Y después vamos, avanzamos más.
I want to know why it's so hard to let go something or someone. I don't know how to do it.
I can answer that.
Te puedo responder.
When we get obsessed with people,
Cuando nos obsesionamos con alguna persona,
it's a place where we're putting our stress.
ese es un lugar en donde estamos depositando nuestro estrés.
It's a place where we're putting the love,
Un lugar donde ponemos el amor,
the
las
expectation.
expectativas.
And we have to use that
Y
obsession
tenemos que utilizar esa obsesión
to go in.
para poder ir hacia adentro.
So you use the facets for that.
Entonces, para eso vas a usar las facetas.
You just laugh.
Simplemente te ríes.
Oh, I'm doing it
Ay,
again.
lo estoy haciendo de nuevo.
And go back in.
Y vas de vuelta hacia adentro.
And keep using the
Sigues
facets.
usando las facetas.
So use that external obsession
Entonces vas utilizando esa obsesión externa
to keep going deeper
para
inside.
seguir yendo más profundo.
And it's a great tool to heal
Es una
yourself.
gran herramienta para sanarse a uno mismo.
and feel what it provokes.
Tienes que sentir aquello que te provoca.
You know, ultimately,
O en última instancia,
we're only healing the separation to
solo
ourselves.
estamos sanando la separación de nosotros mismos.
We think we're doing it externally,
Creemos que lo estamos haciendo con lo externo.
but we're not.
Pero no.
We're healing
Estamos
ourselves.
sanándonos a nosotros mismos.
Use it.
Utilizando.
The facets work.
Y las facetas funcionan.
You know, they'll expand this.
Van a expandir esto.
And then you let go of the
Y
outside.
después vas a poder soltar el afuera.
Hmm?
Why is so difficult
Analizar todo.
to analyze everything? Oh, this I should, this no.
You know, it's a protection.
Es una protección que tienes.
Because you're afraid of making a
Que
mistake.
tienes miedo de equivocarte.
And you're being violent with yourself.
Y estás de alguna manera siendo violenta contigo.
And you just need to have fun.
Tienes que divertirte más.
Just enjoy.
Solo disfrutar.
Stop worrying about what people think
Deja de preocuparte de lo
or
que
what
piense
you
la gente
think.
o lo que tú pienses.
And just let it go.
Solo suelta esto.
Just enjoy yourself.
Disfrútate.